Welcome back to High Tales with the Lit Sisters. We are on our last cabin episode.
Yes, which I've really enjoyed our cabin episodes.
Yeah.
It like really takes the pressure off, which probably means we diverted conversations a lot. But I think it's a good shtick.
It takes the pressure off of you.
It
because
does.
you are needed in your home.
Well,
my kids and husband are like, oh, you were gone? Oh, okay. Nice to see you. Glad you're back, Mom. It's a little louder in the house now.
I am like, basically, if I'm in a room with the door closed, when I open it, there's a queue in the hallway, just Violet.
Everyone has taken a number. And so the whole time, what we figured out is that Marisa goes, and then I go, and she's like nervous I'm being long-winded because she looks at how long we've been talking and is like, oh shit. And she's kind of hurrying me along. And then she starts to go, and I'm like, well, that's long-winded. You just took a whole minute
to
describe
fuck you,
something.
I'm going to go double.
So now we got to hurry up because then she's going to hurry me up, and I want to be able to have time to talk, to say my funny shit. And so we just are both giving each other
that was
anxiety.
my nice way of saying your funny shit wasn't funny.
My shit's funny. You don't need to. You can knock a lot of things and I'll go, oh, really? But like
that's not
me being funny, I'm like, bitch, get for real. We know I'm funny.
So I think what we learned is Marisa needs to better manage her anxiety. And her kids need to recognize they have two parents.
Your fault. I was going to say, I don't think it's you.
I need to better set expectations and boundaries.
Between the you, it's a you problem.
Yes. Yeah.
But as a problem that you can solve, it's not really a you problem.
Well, my role in it is to set better boundaries.
You have to.
And expectations.
Maybe leave your house, too.
But I don't do that. I know you don't. I love my house.
I love your house, too.
My cocoon.
But we have to figure out a way that the rest of the family doesn't
I need a cocoon
you.
within the cocoon.
You need to know that you have 4 hours of uninterrupted
time.
And Nico's coming over.
And we're done. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just something like that. Every Thursday evening.
I do think that we are much better and fresher not after work.
I agree.
Because
after work is hard.
Emotionally, the whole day is going like, and then that does feel like I'm taking
Akatar, me and you definitely brought the day into
with us.
It.
Yeah.
Well, and I think me and you are the same where it's like, once like 4:30 hits,
I'm emotionally done.
You're lucky to get a carpool out of me at all.
The funny thing is, me and my like work like friends, there's like a group of 3 of us who we just always are like, if the world was our oyster, we'd be making so many better decisions right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we do that facetiously. We're very self-aware of our own errors.
Yeah.
But we're also very aware of everybody else's.
Welcome to HR.
But I am definitely a person who it takes energy interacting with people. Yeah. It takes energy, and I feel like I have to like quote unquote be on.
Yeah.
And so being in HR, where I'm a person that like would rather not like directly deal with people too much, that's my whole job.
Yeah.
And
it's
so then
physically draining.
If the people I'm peopling with are too much,
shitty people,
or taking advantage, or like trying to fight, like for me,
suckers. They suck energy.
They suck energy. It's kind of like the not willing to negotiate. I'm not going to meet you halfway.
Right.
It just drains everything out of me because I'm like, you're being unreasonable, and I'm like fucking bending over backwards for you.
Right.
So there are sometimes after work where I'm just like, I'm at capacity.
I don't want to talk to any of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I only like to work during office hours 4 days a week. So
okay.
Well, I did also try and tell you to slack at your job a little bit.
Yeah.
And we could do like Fridays at 2.
Yeah. Unfortunately, my current job doesn't give me the ability to do that.
Quit your job.
But then I don't have the ability to pay for food.
Have the sweet setup.
I've actually been toying with the idea right now. I'm like front end HR. So I'm like face of with our like business leaders.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of toying with the idea of going back into like learning and talent management and stuff like that, which has a bunch of stuff, but I would be more on the build, less on the talk.
Yeah.
So instead of like building plans and representing like for projects and stuff, I would do that on the back end and then hand it over to somebody
Right.
to actually deploy.
Yeah. There you go.
So especially with the emergence of ChatGPT, like
Make your life pretty fucking easy.
See, this is the problem with me. I do that front end stuff, but just because like I need some space during my downtime, instead of like going and taking a nap, I'm like, oh, well, I will just build this training and then they'll see how good I am at training. And then if and when a leadership position comes up in the training and talent management department, they'll be like, Marissa knows how to build trainings.
They like you, but you a number, and they have short-term memory. Nobody cares. Nobody fucking cares.
Why do I do this?
I don't know. I'll teach you how to play the game. I don't work very hard at all.
But I like doing a good job. Like when I
do a good job, it's just
your scope is.
I bring my scope in.
Your scope is solid.
And I'm a good leader. So I think I grinded for a long time. And then I got to this position.
I'm still in my grind era.
Yeah. And I got here and now I have a team of 10 people.
Yeah.
So I'm also in a nice position to be able to, it's actually good leadership.
Yeah.
And I have very senior team members. So it's not like I'm coaching them through how to do something. And even if I do have a new team member,
the train is a moving.
I have
a lot of
experienced people who want to be put in positions to get a senior title or things like. So a lot of delegation, a lot of defending my employees, and I'm really good at my job.
You're really good at that.
Yeah, and I'm good at that. I'm able to do it in a respectful way. So they work harder because I respect them.
Yeah.
And I don't have to work as hard. And then when I do have work, it takes me a fourth of the time as it does all my peers to get it done.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I'm going to do this until I'm about 50. And then maybe I'll job hop until I retire.
What's up.
Maybe I'll work once my kids are out of school and stuff, you know?
Or maybe we'll just podcast.
And that'll take it over. I would love that. If I worked out, maybe taught some workout classes and podcast and read.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful life. Beautiful life.
That's probably more
right now,
our
I
retirement.
have this thing called work. So,
okay.
All right. This
Speaking
was not
of
the
work,
morning to go on our tangent.
Exactly.
All
okay.
right. So you're going to give us a breakdown of where everyone's at and what everyone's doing.
Okay. So we did our Gulliver's Travels where we went and met different cultures in the world.
We're about to do our Gulliver's Travels.
Oh, yeah.
We tried to go get a prize to get a meeting with the first island.
And hauled in through a fit.
People died.
Yes. Okay. So, sorry. I was introing episode 4 instead of introing
3.
episode 3. Okay. I'm back.
It's been a long weekend.
I'm back. I've had to deal with her all weekend.
Oh, God.
Okay. So, Halden is an idiot.
Pretty much.
Riddick is still funny.
Yes.
Sawyer is back in class.
He is. Trying out different legs.
He's trying out a new leg, which
every time we see him, it's a little different.
Nicole and I are irritated. Like, get him a magic leg. Like, we know that it's possible.
What, like it's hard?
You've got like a peg leg, freaking pirate peg leg, and we're in this magical world. Okay.
I think now there's some metal on it and stuff.
Okay. Sure. Xaden is taking too long. So if you remember, he actually pulled again from like a conduit and killed everybody that was attacking them at Cortland's at Deverelli, right? Mm-hmm. And so he like turns around and she's like, okay, just go hide in your room for about a week. Come back when your eyes don't look like that. So that way you don't get murdered upon being seen.
I mean, it was more like go to Arisha, not really your room. Go to your room.
Well, your room in Arisha.
Go to your room in Arisha.
But anyway,
he's been gone for over a week.
So she's like, shit, did that take so much that he's further along? What if he's an ASIM now?
Yeah.
So we're worried about that. And we are sitting in battle brief we're sitting in battle brief and basically they're updating everybody on what their adventure was. Because again, it was just her that was able to go with Xaden and Mira. Mm-hmm. And so she's updating the core 4 and the squad on what all happened. And though technically they did succeed in their mission, where they have a landing spot at Deverelli, and they have trade relations opened, it was not successful in the fact that they lost 2 riders in the first part of this mission. She doesn't trust anybody that they're with. And Halden is a liability. Oh, and Xaden lost himself. So it's just not a great, successful mission, but they did get the books from their dad and everything like that. So they're sitting in battle brief. Somebody in front of the class like turns around and is like, shh, you're being too loud. And they're all like, shut up. And then Riddick looks at him and was like, but actually you're kind of hot. So he starts hitting on him.
Yeah.
And the funniest line of that first page or
the
chapter.
flyer turns around and he's like, I don't mess around with second years.
Yeah. Good thing I fuck like a third year.
It's the best line
And
ever.
then he's like, and I get extra credit for being part of Quest Squad.
Duh.
So Riddick, again, to my earlier point, is still Riddick and is still funny.
Oh, yeah.
So basically we find out Cortland was like, oh, I want to do extra deals with you. And that extra deal is he's like, I will supply you guys weapons if I can use you and Xaden's power. Like, if I can use you.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, first of
It was
all,
kind of a Takaris
Yes.
deal, but more dramatic. Like Takaris
Yeah.
told him it was going to
well,
be.
and question, can she do Takaris's deal? Because part of that deal was staying at his house on that island,
Yeah.
Devarelli. And then Devarelli's deal is like, we're here, double down on the deals, man. But anyway, they're kind of like, we don't really like you. You tried to murder
Well,
us.
Kat was kind of like, that's just weird.
Yeah.
Because they don't have power on the Isles. And to be honest with you, you're not that great without the lightning.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just being honest.
No
offense. It's not like you're the best fighter in the world.
You're small. You've got shitty joints. Like,
I like Kat. She's like, always like, what? It's
true.
And Violet's like, true. I mean,
Yeah.
fair.
Fair. So in battle brief, they are like looking at the map and doing their normal battle brief stuff. And finally, Violet gets called on because I feel like that's how it always happens where Devera is like, okay, I'm sick of all you stupid people trying to answer this question. Violet, what do you think?
Like, as she's been looking at it, like,
Yeah, like, are you going to fucking raise your hand, man?
Yeah.
But we know that all of the battles are like coordinated now in the South around Orisha. And so what Violet kind of puts together in front of the whole class for everyone, because everybody else is idiots, evidently, is they know that the wards are breaking. So they know the Orishans' wards are on their last leg. Yeah.
Right. The only way they could know that is that there's a rat in the house.
Yeah. They are shit. Not only are venom all around us, but now there are actual moles. So battle signets class. Garrick is stepping in for Xaden because Xaden's still not there. And Carr is actually there today. And Garrett, every once in a while during this whole like conversation, Garrett keeps like walking back and forth because he keeps yelling at Carr. Like, and remember, Carr was the one that didn't care. He almost made Violet burn out.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't care about precision or actually teaching. He's just like, the harder, the better.
He's like tough love.
Yeah. Carr is going too far. Garrick's a teacher. And all the first years come in after their class and they're like, okay, we want to help. And everybody's like, okay, yeah, sure. You can sit in the back row and just watch us actually do the work because you guys don't have signets. You don't have power over your signets. First year's too hard. And they're like, no, we don't want to be witnesses and spectators. We are part of this squad. Let us in the mission. And so finally, Violet like looks in her book and is like, okay, fine. Pulls out like the most like lighthearted of all the books and is like, each one of you read one of these and provide a summary. Provide a 2-page summary, please.
You wanted to help.
Yeah.
I mean, they were all sitting there in the amphitheater, like reading books.
Yeah.
Everyone had different things that they were researching.
Yeah. So Arik like actually comes up, grabs his assigned reading, but also is like, so legitimately, how did the mission go? And Violet's like, okay, well, Halden was Halden. He did Halden things and called Halden style ramifications.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, did he hurt the mission? And she's like, I figured it out. It all ended up well, but it was like the most painful way possible.
Well, he's like, did he get anyone killed? And she's like, only his own guard.
Yeah.
But
his guard and, you know, now he can never go back to that island, which
Yeah.
again, this island is the jumping off point for them to all the other islands. So he's like useless in this mission.
Yeah.
Except for his like title. And so they're still trying to figure out how to hit each island because Devarelli was supposed to be the jumping off point, but in the orders, after each island, they have to come back and report to leadership. And so as they're going through, they're looking at it and they're like, it's not worth it.
Like, one, the Griffins won't make it that far in the
It's
amount
a waste.
of time.
We don't have enough time.
Yeah, there's a problem with every way to do it.
And she's like, okay, we just need to hurry. And so she's just like, fuck it. We're doing treason again because it just feels like a great plan B. As soon as we hit the first island, we will do mission like we're supposed to. But then when we leave that island, we're just going to go to the next island. We're not coming back to report.
We don't come back until we find her kind.
Yeah. And if we come back and we're not successful, we'll be killed for treason.
What I love about that is as soon as Violet goes, well, then fuck the rules. Kat throws a rune instantly that it does a silencing shield. Like, boom, okay, we gonna talk real shit? Boom, silencing room.
We're doing it. Xaden actually comes in before this conversation. Yeah. And she's like, oh, thank goodness you're here. Instantly, the first thing she does is look at his eyes.
Yeah.
And the red is gone, but the difference is his like golden flakes that used to be in his Onyx eyes, which is something only like her being so intimate with him would notice. They are no longer like gold. They are red.
They're amber.
There's
an amber hue.
There's red that won't go away.
I don't think only she would notice, because Xaden walks away, right, to talk to Garrick and stuff like that. Violet says, fuck the rules, and everyone agrees. And then Bodhi pulls her aside and is like, why are you pushing so hard? And she's like, his eyes. Look at his eyes.
Yeah.
The amber's there. And Bodhi instantly like got what she was saying.
Yeah.
So I do think like his brother noticed too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Another interesting interaction between those two is like they were just shooting the shit. Nobody was like quiet, like awkward silence type of thing. So she just like leans over to him and is like, what's your second signet?
He's like, I don't have one. She's like, you don't have one as in you can't tell me, or you don't have one as in I'm going to see you wield it, and then we're going to have an awkward conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I
like,
literally
no, I
just did this with Garrick. He said, I don't have one, just like Xaden.
Yeah, but I don't know how to take that. Yeah, go ahead.
That's either Bodhi knows and is also intrinsic.
Yes.
Or Xaden even kept this secret from Bodhi. Which we know Xaden is not a big secret keeper, but he did say only him and Seagal know. Because Taryn didn't even know.
Yeah, I was going to say Garrick doesn't know. Imogen doesn't know. Violet's the only person that knows Xaden's other signet.
Yeah.
Seagal's not a person. I was going to say besides Seagal.
She is worthy.
So
she would actually be like, don't Dain me a person. That's an insult.
I do think if Bodhi was some sort of intrinsic, Xaden would know, though, because I feel like he would need Xaden.
Oh, he would read intentions.
We'll see, though.
Okay. So they will fly to Umbriel as planned, which is the first of the Isles. So Carr, meanwhile, is still like pushing everybody behind to go too far. And this poor girl like is a first or second year. First year, she's like just learning the signet power, and you turn around and Carr is like, go harder, wield. Exactly what Violet did.
Yeah.
Like where he was like yelling, and she actually starts drawing from the earth right in front of them, starts turning venom, and Carr just immediately goes and just kills her. Yeah. And so that was like kind of like the icing on the cake, like we need to fucking go.
Well, and meanwhile, Violet's still having that conversation with Bodhi, and Bodhi had just given her the serum and the antidote, like as a just in case with Xaden. If he goes too far, you can block him from Seagal and Seagal's power. Anyways, she's convincing him. This happens, and Bodhi's like, take Garrick with you.
Yeah. Garrick needs to come too.
Garrick needs to go. Okay.
So they are going to Umbriel. That is the first place. And they're all getting ready to leave. And it's super annoying because we have to bring Halden again. He's our royal into all of these areas.
Yeah, he literally annoys everybody.
Everybody hates this idea. So Mira's been gone, but she walks up immediately and is like, you guys are idiots. I know now that you guys are going
treason.
Yeah, we're going to multiple islands now. And she's like, oh, I forgot to tell you. How did you know? And she's like, because your bags are effing huge.
Because that's not a carry-on,
You
Violet.
guys are idiots. You packed like you're leaving for a month when this is supposed to be a weekend trip. It's obvious. And Violet was like, well,
I'm good at my job, but I'm not that good.
Yeah.
Okay, you're pretty.
So it's like, okay, well, yes, we're doing it. Keep it low because Halden doesn't know we're kind of just going to kidnap him. And meanwhile,
about that part.
Halden's like, last time that trip was too long. This time I want to take 2 legs because I want to be able to stretch out in between. He's such a prince.
I upgraded my basket.
Yes. And here's my new person because on the last trip, I got my last one killed. And he was definitely like banging her on the side too.
He was.
Yeah.
Look at you.
I know.
Like you just
uncovered that.
Sex.
Yeah. I've been in the, royal gossip circles.
Royal no.
So they're like, oh, geez, this is not going to be pleasant. And all of a sudden, Dain and Onyx dragons come flying in. And she's like,
sees Mulvik.
She sees Mulvik and she's like, no, we can't do this. Halden doesn't know that Onyx, his little brother, is here. Yeah. They've been looking across the entire continent for him for the whole year, basically, because it's almost the end of first year for Onyx.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so Onyx comes walking up. Violet immediately goes and she's like, no, you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this. And he's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But I kind of have to. Halden's an idiot. He's just going to ruin the mission. He's slow. I got a dragon. I'm skilled.
I do like at one point he goes, do I mind him giving you hell? And points to Xaden. He's like, not
no,
so much.
That's kind of funny.
But do I want him condemning the entire continent to death?
Probably.
Not really.
Not.
Because he doesn't know how to count to 3.
Yeah. And meanwhile, in the background, Halden is not aware. And he's like, but I don't want this basket anymore. And I want to do this. And I need like a mini fridge in my basket. And so finally they're like, okay, well, Halden, you're not going. They're not carrying you.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, no, you can't say that because I am the prince. And they're like, oh, no, we got another prince.
Well, and then right away, Halden's like, where the hell have you been?
Dad was so worried.
We looked at all the bars, all the hostels, all the
strip clubs.
And Onyx like, the fact that you checked your favorite places.
Yeah.
Tells me everything.
You don't know me.
And then he mentioned something alluding to doing work.
Yeah.
And so Halden's like, that was you with the safe?
Yes.
Dad blamed me for that.
Yeah, gotcha, punk. You're an idiot.
It really did not look like you were watching the oldest talk to the youngest.
No.
It looked like the youngest talking to the oldest.
Because Art is much more emotionally intelligent.
He is.
See, fellas, so much
funny.
better. So the trip components are a little bit different, right? Uh-huh. So we have the old crew. Riddick is there. Xaden is there. Mira is there. Violet is there. Kat is there. Drake is there. We also now have Trager because he has healing skills. He's a healer.
Right.
So we have Trager, and then Trager deserves somebody to be there too. So Marin is coming too. So we now have 4 griffins.
I don't think Marin's there.
Marin's there. And now
I don't hear about her much.
No.
Spoiler.
Yeah. Onyx is there as our prince. So now we don't need Halden, which means the griffins will actually fly faster because they're not holding on to anybody.
Little basket. Total basket.
F you, Halden.
Now we got Mulvik, another dragon, which is
and
great.
A big, terrifying dragon.
For sure. So they reach its Sonarum.
I don't think
it's an Isle of Dune. Okay, they need a little bit of break. They all land, water the horses, water the dragons, all that good stuff. Mira and Violet get to kind of talk for the first time. Violet, as she's talking, recognizes a bracelet that Mira's wearing and says it smells of parchment. But she recognizes like rune shapes on it, which comes into play in a little bit because Mira tells her on her leave she went to visit their only living grandma.
Wait, we have a grandma?
Dad's mom hasn't talked to them Violet's entire life.
Yeah.
Like Mira barely remembers her. Like she was probably 10, 8 or 10. It's a very short conversation that we're going to get more information a little bit later, but she tells her grandma Nira is not the one who ended the communication. They were always told she stopped talking to us. Mom and Dad did when you were a toddler. And then Violet's like, she's reading her dad's journals, right? So she's, wait a minute. Did they know about dad's studies on the
Yeah.
Isles, that he was going to the Isles? And she does confirm before they're kind of split up,
Yeah.
or before they go to bed for the night, that she did know that he
Yeah.
was in the Isles.
I will also say during this conversation, Violet legitimately was like asking questions, and it got to a point where Mira was just like, you just need to go talk to her yourself.
Well, and now we know a little bit differently, but there was tension, right? So I think Violet felt the tension was about the books being given to her again, because she was like, I brought dad's journals.
Yeah.
You can read them. There's this stuff in there. And Mira's like, that sounds awful. You got that. I don't want to read about that. But now I think it was more tension around Mira trying to relay to her what Grandma Nira said.
Yeah, maybe.
So I think they were both reading into that, because that's why the conversation kind of ended. There was a little bit of tension,
Yeah.
and they didn't really know what to do with it. So they all curl up to kind of go to sleep in their different areas to rest. Xaden like cuddles behind her, and they very much know that they're like bait, right?
Yeah.
They know people are going to walk
They're
up on them.
People are on their way.
Right.
Yes.
And lo and behold, guards walk up and they're like, it was a mistake coming here, Firebringer. And Xaden instantly requests a consort with a meeting.
Yes.
Trying to
with
be
her
fancy.
consort.
Thank you. Trying to
A
be
consult
fancy.
with my consort, please.
So he's like, we want the queen. And the guards are pretty much like, you're fucking mid as hell. You don't deserve any
Okay,
kind
for
of
us
meeting
old
with
people,
the queen.
what does mid mean?
You're like mediocre.
Okay, you're so mid.
You're so mid. It's actually good. That's why I like saying it. Some of the Gen X lingo is pretty good.
That's so
I
mid
still
of
like
you.
my whack and stuff like that every so often, you know?
That's whack.
But Xaden was pretty much like, we got more than knives.
Mm-hmm.
I use knives instead of daggers.
Good job. I love it.
That was for you. We got more than daggers. And then the dragons kind of show themselves. Violet goes, for the most part, they'd all stand there. There is the one guard who pisses himself.
Yeah. And she's like, it's okay.
It
happens
it's
sometimes.
a common reaction.
But you should be embarrassed.
So the guards are like, all right, the fire breathers stay. As Seagull like snaps at him, and Xaden's like, Seagull says you can get fucked. They're going. And then he's like, all right, fine. Only half can go. And keep in mind, they do challenges, right? So they're going to have to complete
That's
a
their
challenge.
culture.
They look to Violet. She's the leader. Pick. And Violet's nervous. She's like, okay, Xaden for the challenge, Ark for Navarre, Kat for Perel. And she pauses, and Mira looks at her. She goes, all good choices. Stop stalling. And she
Okay,
goes,
next.
Dain and me. And she's like, that leaves our second best fighter, Garrick.
Yep.
And that leaves one of our best soldiers, strongest soldiers, Mira.
Yeah.
But it had to be her. And then Dain was because of speaking the language,
Yeah.
right? They go to walk in, and they're walking through like this open air area. Or first, Tarn has to land, and they have to dismount, and it's like a very narrow area. I saw in like House of the Dragon when they
I
land.
haven't seen House of Dragon.
Okay, where the one prince always is. They like are landing on a stone bridge.
Okay.
Right?
I'm picturing
So
it.
that's what I pictured, that it's a little harder to dismount because it's like a more human-like stone bridge.
Yeah.
So that's where they're landing. And Tarn lands, Violet dismounts. He is right next to the tower with the crossbolts.
Yeah.
Crossbolts are to kill dragons. That's what they do, all right?
Yeah.
So he just lands right next to that tower and just turns and eyeballs the guards in there.
Yeah. Which
Like,
is bold AF.
what you gonna do with that crossbolt, boy?
Yeah.
Okay. And then right after that, the guy is like stunned and like scream and like shocked. And then Seagull lands on the other side.
Gotcha.
Just looks both at him. You got a big ass black dragon, a big ass navy blue dragon. I loved the power play, especially after being like, you can't bring them. And I think even Seagull was like, we can see over your wall.
Yeah.
Like,
this is not as scary as you think.
Ooh. So
It's
anyways,
obvious you've never seen a dragon and you built all of this to help, and it's like a little kid's like,
It's like little
dollhouse.
Little Tykes. Little
Like,
Tykes Castle.
Oh, honey, that was so cute how you tried to do that.
It was. I also thought it was interesting this as they walk, they said Tard and Seagull were like on the wall walking with them. I just saw it's like the dragons became like parakeet looking to me. Like, slithering
Taryn
down.
would not enjoy that analogy, by the way.
He would not, actually. You're not a parakeet. I'm sorry. So Violet keeps noticing like details, and Tarn keeps telling her to focus. Like I think 3 different times interrupts her thoughts to focus, which means I listened to the details.
Of course.
Because, so just little things that we're noticing as we're coming in. The beauty of the statue of Dune. And I don't think I realized Dune was a woman until the description of the statue and the long hair and this powerful woman soldier, basically. All the soldiers have different symbols of Dune but they were like denoting their different areas. Like one had a claw, one had this. So it looked like difference based on duty. They walked into the big like amphitheater type thing, right? Open. And there were 3 pillars. One with a sword, one with a shield, one with fire, water, claw, and then a book, which Violet appreciated.
Yeah.
But they were all tools of warfare, which Dune is the god of war. Every attendant had silver hair. Not gray, silver.
She's finding her people.
So she was like, okay. Then there was like kind of a class, I think, going on in this room before they walked in. So a bunch of kids get out and walk up, and there is a girl with hair exactly like hers, where the ends are silver. And I think it was Mira and Xaden that pointed it out to her.
I was like, wait, that girl.
That girl. And she was flashing through her mind, like, all the questions, like, does it grow the same if she cuts her hair? Did she have it from birth? Oh, my gosh. Like, da-da. And so they're, like, her mind is racing about all these similarities right here. So there's people walking towards, like with guards and stuff like that. And Violet to Tarn is like, is that the challengers?
Yeah.
And he's like, if Xaden's challenging a aging general and a high priestess, sure. Yeah, that's what's going on. But we
can only hope.
They approach, greet them, and then they announce 2 men who obviously look like twins, massive, and a woman. All huge. The woman's also huge. Yeah. Approaching, and those are going to be the challengers.
Yeah, I think the woman, Violet, was like, she's probably 5'11" and it's got like 80 pounds on me.
Right. And Rhee's really tall, but she's like bigger than Rhee, right? Yeah. Like she's like as big as Dain is kind of what she was comparing her to. So Dain is trying to translate. He's translating to them what's being said around. He's trying to, and when he starts to talk to them, Arik kind of sighs and corrects him. He's like, actually, they said this. Then starts talking, in Violet's words, like he fucking grew up here.
Yep.
And literally, he turns around, he says, I told them who I was and that I'm the one who's fighting. Yep. Meanwhile, Dane's like, are you fucking serious?
Why did I even study this whole time?
I studied for so long. And then you just do this. And he's like, you didn't ask.
And Dain is like, the only reason I'm here instead of Mira is because I can speak the language.
I know.
You didn't
I thought
fucking
that
speak
instantly.
up.
I'm like, you should have brought Garrick.
I would be so mad if I was Mira.
I thought
like,
Garrick.
Dain, no offense, you're useless right now.
Garrick. It should be Garrick. Like his signet doesn't do anything. Well, they don't have magic anyway.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter.
That's true.
But anyways, Xaden steps in and is like, the fuck you are, Arik.
Yeah.
You are a first year. Okay? You are powerful. But you don't need to do this to prove to us you're not your dad and you're not your brother. Yeah. Okay? I'm fighting. Go tell them that.
Dude.
Knock it off.
I appreciate the passion, but you look like an idiot right now.
This is why we need you to live.
Yes.
Because you're not like your dad and your brother. So it's important. So the priestess has that silver hair. Violet also notices she has that tattoo on her forehead. And she starts to think like...
Every time they mention that, I just think of the Manson cult.
So do I.
And I'm like, why? Like that, I can't get away from swastika on the forehead. Like if you say tattoo on the forehead, I'm thinking swastika.
That's what I see. I don't see a swastika. But I see like kind of...
But I get the vibe.
The crazed. Yes. Like look, yeah.
Ugh.
Okay. So the priestess chooses Costa, the biggest of the twins, to be Xaden's challenger, right?
Yes.
Or Xaden's the challenger,
Yes.
whatever. They both walk up. She cuts both of their arms as an offering to Dune, which was kind of weird. I was like, whoa, okay.
I think Violet said, "Oh, that wasn't written down as part of this tradition." That was surprising.
We know there's a challenge.
I have my cheat sheet book, and Dad missed a part.
Maiming was not mentioned. The priestess sits down next to her, and she's having this little conversation with Violet, which I find it was kind of like Norelli.
Yeah.
Like a wisdom already knowing answers.
I have answers that you don't.
Yeah. I very much got the
that's called toying with your meat.
Why did that sound bad?
Oh, that did. That's called something else. Look away. The point is there, but don't think of different other ideas.
So the priestess is like, okay, I'll let you know what's going on. They're going to go choose weapons now. And Violet's like, he's fighting without his greatest one. She's like, you know what? You're right. I agree. I don't think he should do this alone. Cuts Dain down the arm. We have another challenger.
So now the other twin, the smaller of the two twins, but still a big ass twin.
Way bigger than Dain.
Way bigger than
Dain.
Considering the female is the size of Dain.
Dain barely flinches.
No, he's
and
like,
Violet
okay.
is like, he didn't get to his spot on nepotism alone. Like, the dude knows how to fight.
Yeah.
But he walks right over. He's like, all right.
Well, he's like, okay, I thought I was the linguist, but evidently Onyx said that I wasn't valuable there, so I have to
Onyx
fight.
would have been nice if this was Garrick.
The second best fighter. Like, not me. Like, I'm probably like the fifth.
Did you see him out there? He's 5'8". 300 pounds of pure muscle. Okay.
So this is, again, Onyx's fault.
It is. It's the, he's one of the people because of his choices, but he wasn't raised as one of the people, so he just doesn't understand things.
He doesn't get it. Yeah.
No. Like, he's like, you didn't ask. It's like, dude, are you a part of the mission?
Are you part of the strategy making?
You little boy.
Or it's just kind of like every time it's like, surprise.
Yeah.
It's like,
this is where I think I started to feel sorry for Dain.
Yeah.
Like, stop fucking with him, you guys.
I mean, he's making good moral decisions.
You're taking years off his life.
He's almost there. He's working on it still.
They're sitting there. She's still sitting next to the priestess, Violet. And the priestess looks at her and says, did you choose this path? And Violet's like, I chose my life.
Yeah.
And she says, then it's good we did not complete your dedication.
What?
Interesting. She's recalling things her dad has written, her mom has written in the journals, right? Starting to piece some of these cryptic things this priestess is saying. She asks her if she yearns for the temple. And she's like, no, I mean, we have lots of temples and,
Yeah.
And she's like, I still see us among some of your potential paths. Okay, thank you. Dune will accept you. It's not too late to choose her. And Violet says, I choose him, and points to Xaden. And she goes, ah.
And then she stabs her.
She will enter the fight. She will fight the woman that's there. And Violet mentioned, she goes, I was going to match my scar from the threshing. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and Darna's in her head being like, it's only supposed to be one fight.
Yeah, she's already a little annoyed. Yeah. So
and Violet can't block her energy because she can't shield right now. So when Andarna gets heated up about stuff or gets anxious, you actually see in the writing Violet this is one of the instances where she said, I can't shield you. You need to keep your emotions in check.
She did before she walked over. I can handle this.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I forgot about that. That's a big factor, actually.
Yeah, think about that through this whole episode because she does it a lot.
Okay, so they all have to choose the same weapon. So Xaden instantly goes daggers, and Dane's like, I agree. And Violet was kind of annoyed, but she's like, it's
swords
not
are your best, but I can't pick one up.
No.
Of course they're picking daggers.
Just stop. She kind of sees a flicker by the Dune statue, and she's like, will Andarna ever stay
she will never
where she's
listen.
Told to be? She thought she sounded too close. Yeah. I do remember that when she was chiming in, and then she sees her. That was it, though. She is sitting there fighting Marlies, this massive woman. The intro, fight scene
Yeah.
Marlies gets her in the ribs, or she gets Marlies in the ribs right where her armor isn't. Marlies hits her armor so hard, Violet hears it crack her rib.
Yeah.
This is the very first
Interaction.
punch,
Yeah.
right? 1-2. Marlies looks at her and she's like, I'll remove my armor if you do. And Violet's like, hard pass.
We're good.
We both know that's not happening.
The funny thing is the internal dialogue of Violet this whole time is, I just got to remember we're each in our own fights, because she keeps like having a hard time, like not looking to see if Dain's okay, if Xaden's okay. They like grunt or something. And she's like, no, each are separate mats, are separate mats, are separate mats.
Actively doing that. And she is, I mean, there's a lot more to this fight. I won't like depict the whole thing.
Yes.
But they're getting each other. She's getting got, but she's fast.
Yeah.
You could tell her speed is at play. And Darna starts giving her like commentary and she's like, faster, faster, Dain's unconscious. Okay. And you're right. She wasn't like looking at it at all. Violet right then gets Marlise's arm behind her and is like, yield, yield. And she's like, no, I won't.
Never.
And she's like, I've got you, yield. And she's like, you've got me, but he has him. And she looks over and Costa has Xaden, I think by the throat.
Yeah.
And is like choking him out. So Violet, in an instant, takes the dagger she has at Marlise's throat, flicks it, hits Costa in the shoulder. She loves that shoulder shot.
She does.
And then simultaneously takes out another dagger and replaces that Marley's throat. I'll be honest with you. I did not think the move sounded super impressive for the shit that Marlies was talking, considering she did it so fast that she got another dagger under her throat before Marlies could do anything.
Yeah.
That was a lot of shit talking to not be able to get out of that move.
I mean,
you had to have known that's what Violet was going to do.
She probably didn't know that
I think
Violet was so on with her dagger throws.
Well, I think I said out loud, seriously?
Okay.
She still won't yield. She's yelling.
One of the little fucking minions from like the stage comes out and is like, she yields, she yields, she yields.
Violet turns and sees Andarna and her scales are rippling different shades of black.
Yeah.
And she's like, I am so angry.
Yeah.
They said 1 challenge, not 3.
Yeah.
You know, and then that's when that person that was running out goes, Your Highness, are you okay? And Violet goes, fuck.
That's the person we're supposed to talk to.
I was fighting the queen. But Marley stands up and she's like, 2 out of 3 victories. She also sees that Dain's breathing.
Yeah.
He was knocked unconscious, but he is alive. So it's like, okay. Marley says, like, you've earned your audience. She starts to turn to Arik and she's like, no, I only talk to people who best me.
So
what do you want?
It's me and you, boo.
What do you want?
Again, Arik wasn't even needed.
He really wasn't, besides being patronizing, in all honesty.
Well, no, we needed his language skills. So we would have just, instead of Arik and Dain, we should have brought Garrick and Mira.
Totally.
Yeah.
So she's like, what do you want? She's like, well, first we're looking for her 7th breed.
Yep.
And she's like, dragons, haven't seen them in centuries. You wasted
Move
your
on.
time. Next. What else did you want? And she goes through the whole thing. We want to be allies in this war. We want a place to launch off of, to find here. All of the same stuff for all the other isles. And she's like, well, 1, yeah, you can shelter here. You can hunt on our grounds. No problem there.
Yeah.
We ain't fighting with you, though.
Nope.
Price is way too high. We are expensive.
Yeah.
We are expensive.
You can't afford us.
You can't afford us. Violet's like, what's the price? What is the price? And she's like, dragons.
Yeah.
Not full grown, because your kind has let them become too headstrong and arrogant.
Yeah.
As there's dragons around. Mind you, while this conversation is happening, Marlies goes to like touch Sigale.
You don't touch dragons,
and
bro.
Sigale like blows on her and like snaps, and they're like, yeah, they don't like that. But she is not afraid of the dragons at all. She also asks her, how did you wield? How did you do that? Xaden ran up to Violet too and was like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, everybody was like, did you wield? Did you wield?
I didn't. But to Marlies, she's like, I didn't. It was a comment. She goes, funny that you broke something that has been standing for 700 years and the lightning struck like part of the amphitheater, like this rock formation, and it was split down the middle. And then another thing in this book that they just breezed over and don't talk about again. Violet says, I didn't. She broke the stone, and everyone's like, huh, Okay. Anyways, moving
I mean,
on.
storms happen.
I'm like, I don't know about that. Are you sure about that?
It's so crazy that like hearing their interpretation of what they think dragons are because they don't understand or know dragons, and the fact
this
that
whole
they're
deal.
like, yeah, she's like, I want young ones so I can train them because your dragons have too much
And the
personality.
dragons are being. I think Xaden goes. They can hear you.
Yeah, like this is really stupid of you, bro. It's so
But
crazy.
she wanted 12 eggs, 2 of each kind, and Violet's like, Dad was right.
They are in the dragon
This is what they were
wielded.
trying to do. So Violet goes, you can cross the parapet, dragons choose.
Yeah,
Even thinking we might accept that offer makes you unworthy.
yeah.
We don't trade in dragons.
No.
She's like, visit when you become more desperate. Bye.
That's actually a good walk away comment.
Oh, it is.
Because we know they're going to get more desperate.
So the only other time her wielding on an aisle,
Yep.
because I'm not going to say that that's a coincidence. That's not a coincidence.
Yeah.
Come on.
Actually, at this point in time, I thought that her second signet was she can wield outside, like without power.
I thought Theophany was there.
Ooh.
So when this was going on and she said I didn't,
Yeah.
I thought Theophany was somewhere like tracking
Close.
them and they didn't know. But Mira, they walk out, right?
Yeah.
Deal's done. Mira comes out and she's like, did you wield? Did you wield?
Everybody's so
she's
scared
like,
about that.
Why does everyone keep saying that? And I'm like, I don't know. You're a lightning wielder.
And
there
there
were
was just
4 bolts of
frickin'
lightning.
Lightning when
Yeah.
there was no storm.
But to Mira's like, why does everyone keep saying that? And she's like, well, you can still talk to your dragons.
Yeah. You still have power.
And then the conversation was over. The two of Mira didn't push anymore.
Okay. There is so much going on, Nicole. They don't have time. The minor details.
Dear Lord.
She just almost died fighting a princess. She has to keep up with other stuff.
No one is talking about how she can still talk to both of her dragons.
Yeah.
And there's lightning.
She's special. She's the only one that's special.
There's a lot of holes here and character flaws because Mira wouldn't drop that.
But in the context of
Mira
everything else
also-
going on,
I
she
also-
would parking lot it if that
Mira-
wasn't the most important thing.
Mira also didn't make the connection. Violet's telling her their hair was like mine.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
she's like, I don't think we have any relatives out here. But she went to go visit Grandma. I don't know. I also think Mira would have made the connection about the hair.
Yeah, but again, I think we actually had this debate while we were listening to it last night.
We did.
Mira doesn't connect the dots as fast as Violet. So if she's still connecting dots, she's still digesting.
But I think you're underestimating Mira's orneriness. Well, no, she did drop the wyvern that she saw and was
Yeah.
like, that's out of my pay grade.
Yeah.
So
She's a true soldier. And she's also, this is all in the midst of the update conversation of what just happened because Mira wasn't there.
Okay, Xaden wouldn't drop it. Dain saw the girls with the hair, that connection.
I think Dain could
all
get
saw
easily
the
distracted,
lightning.
but I think you're right. Xaden would be interested about
It's
the
just
hair
weird
too.
to me no one's like pushing the fact that she wielded lightning on the aisle. Everyone's like, oh, I
Because
guess it is a coincidence.
Xaden would be terrified that she turned venom.
I thought someone else would think Theophany was there.
I immediately thought people would think that she was turning venom out of love for Xaden.
I mean, Xaden was able to wield, right,
Yep.
on an aisle. Okay.
So first, or I guess this is the second island. The first island, Deverelli, they almost died.
This is the first island of treason.
This is the
Because
first.
they were supposed to come back and they're
Yes.
going to Hedotus.
Yes.
So.
I was going somewhere else, but that's great information.
Oh, sorry. That's where we were. That's the next place.
No.
But this starts treason.
Yeah, I'm
time.
just walking through Gulliver's Travels. So, first island, Deverelli, they got some information, but they almost died.
Are you
okay?
creating a map for me?
I am. You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
So, we go to this island. Halden's never allowed back,
Right.
but they still have diplomatic relations. Okay. Second island, they almost die. Umbriel, they almost die again.
Yes.
Not gonna help you and confirmed dragon dealing. Okay.
We want your dragons too.
Yes. Each one of these islands actually has like a stronger connection to a certain god, where a lot of what we hear about the gods is they kind of like treasure all the gods relatively equally. Like Malik, of course, the god of death, like they pray to him a lot because that's just their culture of
They
they're
actually
going to
had
die.
this conversation with the Flyers and
Yeah.
explained it. And I think it was Sawyer who said that. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, the god of war and the god of death are going to be prominent here.
Yeah.
But it's regional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. The continent doesn't like Alamaris, I guess is what their
job.
name is.
Yeah.
They treasure all of the gods differently and think of it differently. Where as we go to the Isles, you'll see Umbriel with Dune. They were like, this is our god. Like
Right.
that's the only god we do. We're the god of war. Right. I forget what Deverelli was, but it's something around trade or
They were kind of
like-
Switzerland.
but in terms of what god that
I don't know what god it was, but they were big on trade, and trading of knowledge was
Yes.
even more valuable.
Yes. So now this next one is Hedatus.
Hedatus.
And they just treasure wisdom. So the god of wisdom. And the not crazy, but the interesting part is you would think that the scribes would really treasure this.
Right.
And that's not the case, because in the scribes, we don't pray for wisdom. You earn wisdom by reading and studying and learning. Right. And
Right.
so the scribe unit didn't actually praise the god of wisdom.
Yeah, they actually bring this up that you would think the god of wisdom would be prominent at that area.
Yeah. So this is the Isle of Knowledge and Peace. And they know, based on all of the books that they're reading and the horrible maps that they received.
Yes.
Part of the culture here is you must prove your wisdom to leadership. So everybody's like, okay, Violet's got this one. She's really smart.
Yeah,
She'll
we're
do this
good.
test. Just like we thought Xaden would be the one that did the strength test. And turns out 3 of us had to, but whatever. And so they actually like go and land. And as they're pulling up on this island, everything is just very uniformed, very beige. Like
Beige.
no character, no nothing. It's just all like the same string of buildings.
Uniform.
Here's the residential area. It just is very like
Violet is remembering her dad's writing about this, and he said it was very uniform. It was rebuilt in a certain year with intention. And Violet noted that sounded cold and cruel. Yeah.
Yeah. And Darna is instantly like, I don't like it. My people would not be here. This is not a cool place.
They would never.
Yes. Well, and Violet was excited about this island. Like she was like, oh, I can learn. Like this is my
libraries.
Shtick.
There's gonna be libraries everywhere.
Can you show me the libraries
You
first?
get a library. You get a library. Yeah.
And so they like land. It's a coastal city, but there's no port. So they're like, it's not really smart.
Right.
So there has to be a reason for this. And Violet's always reading into everything because that's her dad
that
taught her.
doesn't seem logical.
No, it's not logical. So they all land and a welcome committee comes trampling up. Their eyes are like so
blue, they're purple.
Exactly. And Violet knows, and she like spouts off the reason. They eat something that does something. But anyway, it's just like shocking how like purple their eyes are. But ironically, the leader of that group comments on Violet's eyes.
Her eyes.
Yeah. And she's like, he's like, very unusual eyes, not blue, not entirely blue or green or gold. It's interesting. And she's like, I was going to say the same thing about you. And he's like, yeah, my eyes are common here.
Everyone's got purple eyes.
Everybody's behind me.
You know that song about violet eyes?
Yeah.
It's about us.
Yeah. It's this whole island. And then he turns and introduces.
Maybe Reese is from Hedatus.
Okay. Multiverse.
They don't have dragons.
Damn it. Okay. And so the leader of this group turns and's like, this is my wife, Talia. And shocker, Talia is Xaden's mom.
As soon as they said a woman with brown eyes, I'm like,
I did not connect it until, who was it? Garrett was like, that's your mom.
He goes, I think Garrett goes, oh shit.
Yeah. So Xaden's mom.
And she goes, Xaden, is that you? And he's like, Mom?
Yeah. Oh.
Awkward.
So to just emphasize how awkward this is, she Xaden's mom was contracted to marry, and in the contract it was until the heir reaches the age of 10.
Yes.
So she had this like loving relationship with her son, and Xaden likes his dad, so it wasn't like his dad was a horrible man or anything like that.
He doesn't. I don't know if he likes him, but he does. It's not.
He
like,
respects him.
It's not like he like beat him or
No.
has any kind of
Exactly.
ill will. Yeah.
But
he doesn't sound like he was the most loving.
No. But
dad. Yeah.
He was a dad king. So
Dink.
yeah. But anyway.
Wait, hold on. Before we move on. Okay.
Go ahead.
Because there was a small mini story when they landed on that beach that I found hilarious.
Okay.
So Violet picks up on Kat and Trager, like, being around each other, and it's not Trager just, like, pining after Kat. She's like, I feel like Kat's, like, smiling at him and, like, looking up at him, like something's going on. She notices Kat tracking him and watching him. She's like, oh, yeah, no, she definitely likes him. And then he gets closer to her, and she's like, and that's a hickey on his neck. Okay, finally.
Yep.
So they're definitely together.
Okay.
I got excited about possibly a different
love interest.
Yes.
I'm
and the fact that he
on
had a hickey on his neck and he's been pining after her forever, and then she was like watching him. I'm like, go Trager.
Okay, Trager.
Okay, sorry.
So back to the story that was
the main story. That was the side story.
Where I was going before, so rudely interrupted.
Sorry.
No, I'm just kidding. In the marriage contract, she leaves when he turns 10.
Yes.
And he never hears from her again.
Yes.
Right? And so he had no idea where his mom was. He actually thought his mom was maybe in Port Meal. And he thought that, like, you didn't love us because this was just what's on paper.
Yeah.
So, shocker, mom is on the aisles. That actually originally made me feel better about it because it was like, oh, she's cut off. She doesn't know what's happening. She's where there's no magic.
Do you know what I thought during this? Because it instantly cuts off of mom.
Yeah.
And then they're in a room and Xaden's hiding and Violet's talking to his mom.
Yeah.
I was like, I wanted to see the awkward exit from the beach showing this to our room. Where did that go? Like, did he what happened?
I liked that because I like the fade to black when it gets spicy, but I also like the fade to black when it gets awkward.
Because then you don't have to feel awkward.
I don't have to feel awkward. Instead, Talia's outside, be like, I thought you guys would want some snacks. And she's like, and I was hoping, like, looking past her in the doorway, like, I was hoping I could say hi to my son that I abandoned 20 years ago.
Violet the whole time is like, that's really nice of you. Fat chance.
No, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. And just was like doing a lot of like, oh, like I loved him so much. He was so young. I was so young. Even when I left, I was so young. And
I thought I'd never see him again. She's really pleading her case.
Exactly. Well, and she's like coddling Violet and was like, oh, you must love my son so much because like his father would never do that for me.
You're prioritizing his feelings over your mission.
Oh,
well, because she was like,
must love you so much.
I can get you a private meeting. I don't know what they call her husband, the turret or something like that, but that's who they're trying to talk to.
Yeah.
She's like, I can get you that meeting. Would that work? And Violet's like, I only care about him.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you must love him so much to prioritize his feelings.
Oh.
And Violet's like, not compared to what he's done for me, you know, at Orisha and stuff. And she's like, he must love you because his father would have never. Like, just trying to. She's a victim. She's painting herself as a victim.
Yes. But anyway, Mama Xaden was saying, okay, I understand. Maybe not now, but how about dinner? Is dinner okay? So Violet, like, closes the door and is like, okay, we probably need to figure this out.
With
so
this
she
heavy
like
S-tray
yeah,
of, like,
so
things.
she like goes back and Xaden is actually like sitting on the ground like in a almost hiding spot. Like not on the couch or anything.
Like on the little balcony, like in the smallest corner.
Yeah. The only place he can find a little shadows.
Just, like, wedges right next to him.
Well, and as she's walking up, I think Garrick walks away is like, good luck. Like, and it reminded me of the time where he was like zoned out in the parapet, and everybody was like, I wouldn't mess with him right now. He's not in the mood.
There's a reason we're here and not there. Garrick really gets all of his wrath.
He does. Yeah. Best friends usually do.
Best friends.
Usually
for
it's
life.
little sisters.
I want to know more about Garrick.
Yes. So she sits down. They have a really conversation, and she's like, tells him, your mom invited us to dinner. And he says, I don't know, do you think I should? And she's like, I'm not the one to ask right now. And she's like, my mom just died. I don't want to poison your decisions with my grief, which was such a good way of saying it.
Well, he gets offended at first. He's like, oh, she already charmed you.
Yeah. Yeah. And she's like, no, like, my mom's gone. I don't have the ability to ever have another 10 minutes.
Exactly.
I would take another 10 minutes. But I know that my view is skewed.
Yeah.
And I know you've had your shit. So this is not me saying you should and guilting you into it. It's purely, I don't want to poison you with my mental state right now.
Yeah.
That's such a mature way of saying it.
Yeah.
But he says, okay, fair. She's like, go ask Garrick. But we hear a little bit more about their relationship and like little things, like he looks at the tray and he's like, there's sugar topped on some pastry. And he's like, of course. That was my favorite thing when I was a kid. And he actually tells the story of the last day they were together.
Yeah.
And it was his birthday because, again, as part of the contract, he like when the heir reaches the age of 10, she is released from the contract. And so his birthday, his favorite thing was chocolate cake. They had this great chocolate cake. And then the next day she was just gone and he never saw her again.
Yeah.
And so now she took his favorite thing and like every time he eats it, he thinks about the last time I ate a chocolate cake. My mom never came back.
Right. On his birthday.
On his birthday.
They had cake.
Yep.
And he never saw her again.
Yes. So,
no
I
goodbye.
mean, no nothing. And so,
were you, I was thinking maybe there's more to the story about Fen that we're going to find out right now. Like, maybe she had to leave. Maybe she was forced to leave. Maybe she wasn't allowed to talk to him and Xaden doesn't know.
Yeah.
So I was hopeful at this point reading this.
I actually went the other way because like we found out a book or two ago that she left when he was 10 because the contract ended. So we knew it was like an arranged marriage. And so I thought Fen might have been a dick and like had her imprisoned or something. And she fled, right?
Yeah.
So then now that we know a little bit more about Fen and how Xaden doesn't like, because Xaden's personality, he would be very anti anything. Like,
yeah,
if his mom was abused and he didn't have that type of reaction to Fen. So I was like, now it feels a little bit more abandonment-ish.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're sitting on the balcony and they're just talking and they see like Seagal is like reacting to like how Xaden is feeling. She's worried.
Well, she was like pacing and then roaring and he was like, eat something, like go, I'm okay. And she roars again and like stomps off and they didn't totally explain that.
Well, they can't talk to each other and
so
she's
that's
worried.
what the pain was.
And and Seagal is like the only one that knows the true pain of his mother, like what his mother did.
That's true. So
she is protective mama right now because she's basically been Xaden's mom.
Yeah.
So, and there's two little boys in the courtyard, like when Seagal like roars and then flies away, they're like, oh my God, look at the dragon. Did you hear that? And who mom comes running out and it is Xaden's mom. So now we know these two little boys are Xaden's like brothers.
Yeah.
And so the mom is like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And is all nervous around all the dragons and stuff. And is like, okay, you guys go get ready. You're going to go spend the night at Tommy's house. It's not Tommy, but I'm just making it Tommy's house. You're leaving. Go get ready. They want to spend the night. And so Violet's like, okay. We're like, Xaden's like, let's do the dinner. And she's like, okay, we've got to be prepared for the dinner because they either they have a reason why they're sending the kids away. Either they want to party or they're going to.
And then she hit up Andarna and she's like, follow them and make yourself not seen. And I loved it. Andarna's like, are we scheming? We're love scheming.
We're scheming.
I love scheming.
Okay. Violet actually finds Talia, tells her, okay, we agree to come to dinner. And as a show of goodwill, here's some tea from Arisha. I know Xaden told me you liked this tea. You might miss it and everything like that.
And she was like, oh, is that dried almond?
Yeah.
You know, like she knew what it was.
It was like a treasure from it. They agree. They get ready. They walk down the stairs, open the doors, and there is, what do they call that group? It's like the scenario
tournament.
It's basically the decision makers of this island.
The T-birds.
Yes.
It started with the T.
We are assuming this is some sort of like committee to test her intelligence.
But it's Ferris and Talia and like what, 3 other people?
Yes.
Yeah.
The T-birds, yes. They're at dinner. They like are drinking the tea, like they're eating dinner. And like when the dishes lift, everybody's like, please no head, because Island 1, when they lifted the tray for dessert, it was somebody's face.
Yeah, Xaden was kind of laughing at Violet like, please no head, please no head, please no head.
Arik was like looking weird, like, and she's like, oh, maybe I said that louder than I should have.
Potatoes and mashed potatoes and vegetables.
I think it's roasted chicken. It was like it was a very beige dinner for the beige town.
Beige town, yeah.
Yes. I just put Ferris was a dinner dick.
He was basically interviewing them in a very pompous way. It was like Ivy League pompous interview, and he could not get over. Like he looked at everyone's titles and where they were, quizzing Arik, quizzing Kat, quizzing Xaden, and he kept looking at Xaden and Kat why they wouldn't be together with all the political advantages. You know, and he wouldn't drop it. Like they all were kind of talking about it, and the Cat had to finally be like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I said yes. He said no. He met Violet. Now they're them. Okay?
Yeah.
Like now
get over it.
They're powerful as shit. They could take down the whole continent if they wanted to. And I met someone else. And I was like,
I'm good.
She is with
She
Trager.
did. Yeah, there's a hickey for proof.
But I did love how Kat was like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I said yes. He said no.
Yeah, get over it.
Let's break it down. But it didn't phase Ferris,
No, he didn't.
Yeah.
He was like trying to use like, well, logically it makes sense for diplomatic ties that maybe like a 3 to 4 year contract. He starts trying to wield and deal a marriage
not
contract.
Even listening to them.
No.
Just keeps talking in his own train of thought.
And I'm just thinking in my head, like the marriage contract with the Ryersons obviously didn't work.
Not only that, he's saying the 3 to 4 years, and he's like, and then secure at least one heir so the bloodlines are together. And Garrick, I think, is the one like, if bloodlines were a thing, I don't think we'd even be having this dinner, right? Like looking at Xaden
and his mom. Duh.
Which is what you were saying. But he was just very matter of fact about it.
Yeah. Well, and what was annoying is the mom in the background was like trying to get Xaden to say yes. She was like, it would only be 3 years and then you can go back to Violet.
Asterisks.
And he like gives his, I will die for her speech. She's like, it's only 3 years, Xaden.
He is always saying that, but then he just goes, drop the papers then.
Yeah.
First is like, oh.
Okay. How long of a term would you say? Forever. Nothing less.
Yeah.
Her name is Violet Sorngale.
And then he looks at Violet and he's like, I mean, my name has the title, but we could go with yours. And Garrick's like, you guys can hyphenate.
Yeah. So the Rebel Squad, they make light of silly situations. And I love how they like condescendingly like say no.
Yes.
It's like, we said no first. You didn't get it, even though you claim to be so intelligent.
An inside joke amongst them.
Yes.
And it's awesome.
It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
But this is when Xaden gives I will die for her speech.
Yes.
And you would have known if you stayed, Mom.
Yeah. So during these conversations, like when people make like very like strong statements, a random like stone will come up on the table. It's like, I'm interested. And we find out like through this whole dinner that's them like voting like, okay, I'm in. Like they passed that test.
Okay.
So one of the Nariel, I think is her name. Nari, she actually like puts her stone up on. She's like, okay, I'm interested enough to ask a question. You're worthy for my question. Basically.
So egotistical.
Yes, you're worthy. You're worthy. She puts it up there and asks.
But wait, why did she put it up there? Do you remember?
Something Mira said.
Because Mira sat there and was watching all this, and she goes, you were never going to help us.
No.
We proved our lack of wisdom by even coming here. And Neri's like,
yeah.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yes, I'm interested in the humble nature of your intelligence that you just did.
Leave it to Mira, probably the most like just brutish, like out of all of them.
Exactly.
It's just like they weren't gonna fucking help us anyway.
Which is perfect. That's exactly what. Yes. And so her question was, "What do you think of our beautiful island?"
Yeah.
And so everybody like looks at Violet as like, this has to be a test. They don't want to know what we really think.
You're answering, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so Violet says, it's beautiful, it's uniform, it's logical, but it's also a show of like cruelty. Because this also means that you've erased all of the history, all of the people who have had generational houses and memories attached to that. You took it all down to be pretty.
It's and not even very knowledge, not respecting knowledge.
No. And you guys made like a really poor logical decision. There's no port, like it doesn't make logical sense. And this is when Ferris was like, well, the waters and da-da-da. And she's like, oh, they're agoraphobic.
Yes.
So not agoraphobic. They're definitely aquaphobic, which means they're scared of the water.
They're scared of the water.
So they're smart on their little island of beige.
Well, and Arik also like plays off of Violet in this. And it's like, I don't think it would be very smart to have a relationship with you at all, actually. So like when you say they throw... the things back and forth to each other to like condescendingly say no. He added his pompous, noble.
Of course.
This isn't very. Like, imagined him looking at his nails.
Yes.
This isn't very smart of us.
They're also really surprised that Violet is the leader, not Arik.
Well, she's a woman.
Well, she's a woman. He's the prince. He's the highest rank. Yeah. He's not the most powerful even. Xaden's the most powerful.
Yeah.
But she's got the most powerful dragons.
Exactly.
And the smartest. For a culture who reveres intelligence, it's interesting that they didn't assume that the smartest person in the group was the leader. They assumed title and sex.
True. Assholes. Okay. Okay. And anyway, very awkwardly, dessert is served.
Yes, they're like dessert. And it is a fucking chocolate cake. And Violet's like, that was like the worst choice. We just had a really horrible conversation about how he's like traumatized by chocolate cake, but great. And here Talia is in the background being like, well, we sourced it. I tried like 3 or 4 different recipes. This is the closest recipe I could find to what we used to have in Orisha. Yeah. And the whole time it's like, what the fuck? And so all of them are there. Ferris turns around and is like, oh, you forgot our forks. And so Violet's putting this in her head. 1, Talia said, I tried for weeks to source the chocolate and find the right recipe. They knew we were here. Yeah. Also, she's a bitch for being so fake surprised. Thing was all
fake.
Yes.
That was all fake. She knew.
So it just also reiterates the fact that the manipulation that Xaden was talking about.
Right.
2, the only people that have the ability to eat it right now are the people that are in our group.
Yeah, the 4 of them all don't have a
all
fork.
Don't have it. And so
Or
she
5.
instantly like puts her hand on Xaden's leg and is like, don't eat this. Like she doesn't say it or anything like that.
Yeah.
As soon as like Xaden puts his fork down, Kat like puts hers down and it you just hear like forks go and they're like everybody noticing except for who? Garrick had already eaten like more than half of
it. He had ate a third of it.
He's like, what's going on? And basically Ferris in his pompous ass, he had poisoned everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, you got like 20 minutes. Good for you guys. You passed the test. That dummy didn't. But you guys are good.
Hold on. Garrick even says, sorry, I wrote this down. Garrick, they turn and Garrick's like, tastes just like home. They're like, stop.
Don't do it.
I'm sorry. So, I know you had moved on. Yeah. And I was like, oh, shit. That's so funny.
So,
but Talia right away goes, "What did you do?"
Yeah,
you
so Talia
my son, so she had no idea.
Well, and right now, Violet's side is like, Xaden's gonna kill everybody here.
Yeah,
because she knows that as soon as he processes everything that just happened, everybody's gonna die.
Right.
So she needs to de-escalate quick.
So she's trying to figure it out, and Ferris's smug ass is like, "So is this where you draw a weapon?"
He's like,
because they're brutes. He's like fucking.
This is when I show you I'm smarter. So
Yeah.
by the way, you have probably about an hour and then you're going to start throwing up. And I have the antidote for you because I poisoned you first, bro. And so she goes into this whole thing, like while she's like, give us the antidote and we'll give you your antidote.
Yeah.
You have about like an hour before you start throwing up blood.
Yeah.
And
dead within the hour.
Once you start throwing up blood, it's too late.
Yeah.
And immediately, one of the ladies, Navir or Nari or something like that, she like falls down and is like, oh, like in pain. And she's like, oh, I must have miscalculated the time on that. You might have less than that. And he's like, no, I will not. Like, you won't best me in my house.
Yeah.
And she's like, gosh, dang it.
Well, he was also like, he's only got 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So I'll have 40 minutes
after he dies.
Watch my guards kill you.
And in her head, Taryn is just like, just quit asking him. He's not going to do it. So she's like, fine. She turns around. She tells Drake, go get Trager. Mira, go stabilize the house. Dain, go get my dad's books. And Xaden, don't look up yet because you just need to focus on Garrett so you don't kill anybody.
She kind of lets him just be there with Garrett because he's giving him CPR.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So he's occupied.
And so she's just thinking, okay, I need to solve this. Ferris is still in the background and she thinks the cook who made the cake. So she grabs Riddick. They run to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And they get there for the cook.
Well, and she's trying to think on the way there, what is it?
Yeah.
You know, type of thing.
And so she gets to the cook and the cook is like washing dishes and stuff and with like this blue towel and stuff. And she's like, what did you put in it? And he's like, what I was told to put in it.
Yeah.
And just is not giving very much information to the point where the cook actually like starts fighting them. Tries to. And so Violet's like looking at the dishes and looking at it. She realizes it's not the rag that was blue. He was trying to clean the blue off of his hands, off the pots and pans. So she knows that it's something with blue.
Yes.
So she's racking her brain and she remembers a plant, like the only plant that has any color in this beige world that they're in. So she got it. She turns around and Riddick is stabbed through his jacket.
Cook had thrown a dagger.
And she's like, no.
Well, but they made it very dramatic. I really thought, Riddick, this is actually a knife. You can actually call it a knife.
Yes.
And it was at his side, but it was actually in his jacket. So it was actually kind of a comical.
Well, Violet's like, no, not Riddick. No, not Riddick. Don't do it. And he pulls it out and is like, I hate sewing.
He hates sewing.
This is my one good jacket. Now I have to sew it again.
Damn it.
And she's
and
like,
then he turns to Violet and he goes, we better get a patch for Quest Squad.
And she's like, dude, I thought you were freaking dead. You were dead.
I loved it. I loved how he wanted the patch.
See,
it's still
this
about
is
the
what
sticker.
I'm saying. Riddick, you freaking made this book. Mwah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I saw the meme, you know, the interviews with the Wicked.
Yeah.
And Ariana and those guys are like, you have been a gift.
Yes.
You have been a light.
Yes.
It was like, that's
Riddick.
Riddick for Onyx Storm. You have been a joy, an actual gift.
Riddick.
You have brought life to this book.
Riddick, can we...
Best character award.
If Riddick was ever... Can we share him as a best friend? If Riddick was a real person?
Yes. You know why?
Why?
Because he's bi.
He loves all.
He loves everyone.
He loves love.
He loves making people laugh, too.
Okay, so back to everybody about to die.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we know what it is.
Yes.
We run back up. Dain has the book. We look up the plant that we know it is. We look up the antidote. Prunes. Okay. Figs. Same thing.
No.
So close. So close to same thing.
But his mom brought them figs.
Yes. So she's like, Dain, go get the figs. Go get some waters. Like, Dain chops up the figs. They make it. And basically she hands it to Xaden and is like, get him to drink this now.
Yeah.
So Xaden is pouring chopped up fig water into Garrick's mouth.
Right.
Meanwhile, she has 4 cups that she is just slowly putting there because she knows she fucking won.
Well, and Ferris is like talking shit this whole time. As he's like holding his abdomen.
Yeah. And somebody is like actually puking in the corner. Yeah. Talia's on the ground like crying to herself. And she's just like slowly pouring the antidote like right in front of him. Yeah. And he's like, I'll never surrender. Nobody will know.
We're safe.
Yeah.
We're safe. We have no magic here. And Violet's like, They'll drain you.
You idiot.
You idiot. You clown.
Yeah, Ferris was like, this isn't my fight.
Yeah.
I don't need to. I'm neutral third party. And she's like, they don't give a shit if you're neutral. You've got power with your beating heart.
Right.
Ferris is still just like, you haven't bested me. And it just is his hubris is shocking.
Yeah.
And finally, Violet has to pull the big card, which was Indarna, the seventh breed that we were coming here to talk to you about. She is actually sitting outside of your parents' house right now watching your children.
Yeah.
And if anything happens to us, she will kill them. She is going to make sure we fly off safely before anything happens. Like, you have lost in every way possible. The only way to save yourself is to drink the antidote, pay off everybody in this house that knows that we bested you, and we won't tell anybody. And that's our deal now. We will open trade negotiations with you.
Yep.
Basically, for the fact that I'm not going to tell everybody that you're an idiot. So the next time you try to grab power, nobody says, oh, he's stupid enough to have one of those brutes best him.
We won't tell on you.
Yeah. Which is very similar to what she said at the first island,
Yep.
where she was like, okay, now you don't get anything except for my silence because you fucked up that bad.
She did look at him at one point. She's like, your ignorance and not mine we have found here tonight.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Damn.
In that interaction, though, Xaden starts to fucking lose it. Menon style. Yeah. And Violet is like, come get off the ice. That's their thing. Get off the ice. Come back to me. I need you, not this. He, at one point, Riddick says something, and Xaden, like, goes after him, and Violet puts herself in between them. And is like, get off the ice, get off the ice. And he kind of gets with it, and he goes and fucking
But
sits
if Violet wasn't there, Riddick would have been hurt.
Yes. Which Xaden brings up, because they're flying now to, how do you say it? Zenhala?
Zenlina?
Zenlina. This is before they're there. They stop, but Xaden pulls her aside and is like, don't ever do that again. And she's like, what? And he's like, put yourself in between me and somebody else. And she's like, it looked like you were going to punch my fucking best friend. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Even if you weren't a venom, I would have stepped in between you guys.
This is all happening mind to mind. And so I do find it interesting that Riddick commentaries, they're doing that thing again. Where they're fighting mind to mind. They're mind fighting.
This is awkward. Everybody watch.
So anyways, they fly for a whole day before they see any land at all. When they land, this is when Violet mentions that sunscreen rune is actually working. Yeah. So I don't know if that's important or not, but we do know runes are working outside of magic right now.
And this is the island. Again, remember, each of the islands are associated with a specific like deity that they pray to. Right. This is the luck one. Anyways,
the difference with Zenila, they pass the beaches and they see people. They don't run. They're waving.
Yeah.
They've seen dragons.
They're used to like people running in terror. Firebringers! Ah!
Yes.
But these guys are freaking cheering them on.
Also, they come up. Everything's been pretty drab on the Isles.
Yep.
There's green. It's colorful. And the front gate is an amphitheater. Yep. Like you walk in and it's full of people right there. They all land, and as like they see kind of the welcome party coming over to them, they feel like a distinct like shudder through themselves.
Yes.
There's magic. Not a ton. Not enough to do like wield or anything like that, but they feel
more magic than they felt in any other island.
Yeah, it's like a wave of magic, right?
To the point that they can now talk to the dragons.
They can, yeah. And so you see like people laughing and Drake scratching his griffin in a place like, I wonder how long he needed an itch. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And Atrim is fucking with Riddick, and they're all like able to talk.
Which again, I love how we get to know dragon relationships. Like, because it's so funny how different each one of those relationships are. Like some of them is like mother-son, which Xaden and Seagal like feel like Violet is like grandpa. Like,
well, and I don't think this is a spoiler. In the next episode, we're going to get a couple different points of view. And I think that's my main takeaway is their relationships with their dragons are
so different.
Very them.
Yeah.
Right? It's cool. Anyways, so Calixa welcomes them to today's festivities, which
Welcome,
again is a
welcome.
different way to describe this. This is the Isle of Zool. Is that it?
I don't know. That
Zinel.
sounds good.
Zinel, not Zool. That's Ghostbusters. Zinel. So the big thing here is there is some sort of like game they're going to have to play. It's the god of luck.
Yes.
Okay. So again, Dain starts to translate and Art goes and then takes over and she's like, Dain looks like he's going to murder him. But she already knows. She starts speaking in the common language. She already knows they're here to secure an alliance. And she's like, which one is the Irid? Like, she knows everything.
She knows it.
So Cortland called ahead and told them that they were coming. She said that they've been waiting since they got that call. And they're like, everyone has been waiting in the stands. And she's like, oh, no, they just come every day and hope that they're lucky enough to see the dragons.
Yes, these are the lucky ones that chose today to sit and wait.
But I liked how she's like, no, that'd be silly. They try every day.
Yeah, all the time.
The whole time. They go home. So what they are going to do is they are going to receive gifts that Zanel chooses for them without complaint for entrance.
Yes.
So what we're going to do is a little breakdown here.
I'm excited.
Because
I'm prepped.
I think there's a lot of symbolism
Agreed.
behind the different gifts that they get.
Yes.
So I'm going to go through each person going up and what they get and maybe the reaction.
Okay.
And then Marissa's going to give us an AI breakdown of the symbolism of that.
Yes.
And credit should go somewhere else. I saw a reel where somebody did this and I thought it was really cool. So
A reel.
I don't know who that
We did the work,
was.
but the idea was generated by
I want to
another
credit
person.
the idea to somebody, but I don't know who somebody is. But it was a good idea. Okay. Mira goes first. She gets wine. And she goes, I'm going to need this.
I'm going to need this.
So symbolism behind wine.
Okay. I can't remember what type of wine she got, whether it was red or if it was unnoticed. But
the gift of wine. What's that?
The gift of wine. So general symbolism of wine, it could mean abundance and prosperity, like transformation and wisdom, celebration and connection, or immortality in the divine. And so like symbolically, like through like different mythical eras, like giving red wine would mean passion or love. Giving white wine is purity or new beginnings. Sparkling wine is celebration.
Okay.
So basically this, I think, is good symbolism, celebration or gift giving or happiness. And she actually, the fact that she took it as celebration, I think was just kind of like,
right. Okay.
Chill out, Mira. That's what Zanal is telling her.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Marin goes up next, gets 2 orange tunics.
Okay. So now so when they give more than just
so when
wine,
I was like, I don't think Marin was there, you're like, she was.
She was there. Trust me. I did some research.
Okay.
So there's symbolism with clothes, but then
Right.
additional symbolism for
color.
orange clothes.
Okay.
And so clothes is generally like a like protection or care.
Okay.
But it also in many cultures, depending on like how it's built, can be like status and power. But there's also a lot of like magical and superstitious meanings around clothing in general. The one specifically to orange is associated with strength and courage. So like ancient warriors would use orange or like saffron garments to like represent their bravery. So like if like red in Hindu and Buddhist like monks, they wear orange robes, and it's symbolizing like reunification and like spiritual devotion.
Oh,
yes.
That's very Marin.
Exactly.
In this group.
Chinese culture, actually, orange is linked with a lot of good fortune and success. So it also could be like strength, courage, but also maybe prosperity or success within that courage.
Okay.
So specifically gifts of orange clothes in a lot of like people facing challenges, it's a way of wishing them strength, resilience, and confidence.
I love that for Marin.
Yeah.
Okay. Dain. Dain walks up and gets the biggest bitch slap
of
his life and has to say thank you.
The funny thing is, like, it's like they're pulling cards. And so his card was a hand. So he puts his hand like it's a handshake and just gets smacked. Whop.
Bitch slapped. And then has to go, thank you.
Thank you for my slap.
That was pretty hilarious.
Okay, so this one's not going to be surprising. A slap in the face can mean a lot of things, but usually it's like, fucking wake up. It's a wake up call.
Okay.
It's a form of tough love. It can also like be breaking of an illusion, right? Being gifted, something like that. There's a lot of symbolism around gifting somebody a slap, a whole idea, because I went into that because my thought process was, okay, you can slap somebody in the face. It can mean anything. But to say you're gifting somebody a slap in the face, I feel like has extra meaning. And so a lot of that is a pivotal, dramatic moment to wake somebody up.
Love that for Dain.
That is perfect for him, right?
It is. I do feel like this should be the end of his payments.
Yes. I can get back on the Dain train, but I mean, we all agree
because
that Dain's not the right person for Violet.
No, he knows that now too.
Yeah.
I think he agrees.
I'm cool with it.
I think when he heard the love decoration in the torture chamber.
Yeah, he was like, okay, that's not me.
Okay,
I thought I loved you, but that's not the love
me
I
and Garrett
feel.
both heard that, and I think I'm in love with him in all honesty. But all right, okay. Who is next? Garrick is next, and he gets a rusted steel bucket.
So when I read it, I was not interested at all that he got this rusted bucket. When I started researching it, I was like, ooh. So I'm gonna be long-winded here.
I love this. Okay.
So. There's a lot there. So bucket in general, if you would have gotten a non-rusty holy bucket, it's really talking about like containment and capacity, like holding like emotion or like mental or material storage, right? It's like resourcefulness and utility, okay? It also can be like an empty bucket could be seen as bad luck, where a full bucket would be seen as good luck. Well, he's got an empty bucket,
it's
right?
Empty. Yeah.
So there's a lot going with just the idea of a bucket. Now you add in the symbolism of it actually being rusted. That can be a sign of like decay, neglect, ineffectiveness, and just like a symbol of like forgotten or neglected, right? Okay. You go back to the symbolism of an actual bucket. Right. It goes, okay, containment, capacity to hold things, symbolizing emotion, resourcefulness, utility. If it's rusted, we're neglecting that, right?
Right.
So when you would use a gift a rusted bucket, like it can be a soak, like there's a lot that's like, oh, it's a joke, da, da, da. But some of the symbolism is like, it could represent like the inability to be resilient, like the inability to carrying those emotions and things like that. So you're falling apart, brah.
We're going to talk about this in the next episode. Remember. Okay. Yep. Arik is next, and he gets a fractured hand mirror.
One more thing.
Oh, about the bucket?
Yeah.
What up?
So there is a lot of literary like references to rusty buckets in general. And so there's like the leaky bucket metaphor, and this is like in folklore, and it often symbolizes like a futile effort. Which connected with Xaden, Garrett's part of the team that is trying to find a cure, is futile effort.
Okay.
It also like is a symbol of a test or a curse back from in Greek mythology.
Yeah. So to me, this right now confirms a different theory I have.
Okay.
That we'll talk about later, but.
Perfect.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Arik is next. Arik receives a fractured hand mirror that also cuts him because they hand it to him the fractured side. Yeah. I don't know if that means anything at all, but they hand him to him and he cuts his hand on it.
So I did not research how it was presented and if it hurts you.
But that's okay.
But I did. So broken mirror, everybody knows the 7 years of bad luck associated with that. Okay. So a lot of the symbolism does go around there, but I was surprised that a lot of it was around like self-reflection and truth. Like giving up illusions or delusions. So it's not necessarily bad luck, but I think for Arik, it's really around like you are a fractured self.
Yeah.
Now you need to not be.
Yeah.
Right. And there's also, it's an irreversible change. So now you've stepped up. People know who you are. People know where you stand. Now you have to start living as a royal.
Use
You
all
can't
of
hide
that.
anymore.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Which when he first came to Basgiath, Violet did tell him she always thought he would have been the better heir. And that's like usually how
Yeah.
it goes, right?
Yeah.
That's probably going to come into play a lot.
There is a lot of references in like historical mythology to broken mirrors. And so
Yeah.
Greek mythology, we've got Narcissist, right?
Uh-huh.
Which I don't think that plays as much because that's not Auric. He's not like the obsessed with himself, like, but Halden is.
Halden is.
Yeah. In Chinese and Japanese folklore, there's a lot of using mirrors to ward off spirits, and having like a broken mirror is a way to connect with
Okay.
like the spirit world.
His dead twin brother that Xaden killed.
Maybe. There's
Well,
a
not
lot
Auric's
of
twin
like
brother, but yeah.
super European superstitions around like trapped souls and mirrors too. So I don't know if it'll go. I like the idea of this whole fractured soul and now he has to da-da-da. But he does have a lot of death in his past, and it could be some sort of like soul connecting thing.
Okay. We are definitely going to talk about a lot of these in the
Yeah.
next episode. Xaden is next. He gets an empty glass box.
I'm excited about this one. Okay, so he does get an empty glass box.
Right.
But when he shakes it, there are black particles in the box. I don't know if you caught that.
I did not.
I definitely caught that.
Okay.
So let's talk about the glass box. We have a transparent box can mean like symbolizing clarity, openness, and truth after hidden depths, right? Okay.
Okay.
So it also can mean like containment and protection.
Okay.
Like he is very much, I'm a protector and everything like that. It can also be the illusion of freedom. Okay. So that's just the box. You add tiny specks of something in it, which we don't know what it is. And you didn't even reference that there was anything, but I did notice
No, it
like
must
when
have
he
been
like
just
shook
a
the box,
line.
it was something
Yeah.
like there was black.
Yeah.
So that black specks change the meaning like almost on its hind end. Like it's like in tarot, when somebody does the card upside down, it means the opposite.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is like imperfection and corruption, a hidden layer of corruption or something seemingly perfect not being. Okay. Secrets of unspoken truths. So dark memories, buried emotions inside that cannot be removed.
Okay.
Decay and cosmic dust. So it could be like remnants of past life, lost energy.
Is there any hope
Contained
in this description?
darkness.
Any
No.
hope? Any flicker
No.
of... Yeah, it means that, but it also means new birth.
So it's so like all of it is like this. So it's like a bad warning or an omen, a metaphor for somebody's current situation. So reference back to historical like mythology and cultural references. We've got Pandora's box. It wasn't a glass box, but it is kind of like once you open the box, you can't unopen the box.
Right. What's in the box?
Yeah. We also have like a lot of that is alchemy symbolism with like the glass and the particles and stuff. So it could be transformation. It could be power and unknown force. So it might not be like the dust is bad. It just, it might be just unknown. This is me really trying to stretch into this, all of this bad stuff that we heard about this box.
Yeah.
And maybe it could just be like, oh.
Well, you just saying alchemy, Norelli called them alchemy.
Yeah.
So maybe that means Violet is a part of whatever cure could happen. Anyways, who's next? Violet. Violet walks up, gets a broken compass.
Yes.
It's not pointing north.
No. So I'm not gonna lie. I went down the straight up broken compass, just what we read. Yeah. But when I was listening and reading the book, my initial thought was Captain Jack Sparrow's compass.
Yes.
Which it wasn't broken.
Exactly.
It just pointed to what somebody wanted the most.
Right.
So I researched it,
north.
assuming it's just a broken compass, and I'm not reading in because I watched Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yes.
But that's still in the back of my head.
Yes.
Okay. So a compass not broken means like guidance, direction, like finding purpose and destiny, possibly an adventure in the future, right? Okay. It also is like protection and stability around like a lot of people and cultures use compasses as like protection charms.
Okay.
But if the compass is broken, it actually dictates more like confusion, loss of feeling, like loss of direction. You're adrift. Your fate has gone awry and you don't know which way is next.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like breaking free of a predetermined path.
Nice.
Yes. So some of the like mythology, like background around that is you don't have a clear path. Right. The Odyssey, they like struggled to find their way home for decades.
Right.
It also has some symbolism with like your moral compass. Is your moral compass broken?
Okay.
So that's like around like philosophy and ethics. A lot of like early philosophers use the analogy of a broken compass.
Okay.
And it was more of like the moral compass.
Okay. Okay. Next, Riddick. Gets
Riddick.
a kiss on both cheeks.
Okay.
And the crowd went wild.
The crowd went wild. So this one's easy. It's like affection and warmth, respect and honor. But one thing that did come up in this research was also betrayal and deception, because Judas betrayed Jesus. And right before he did, he gave him a kiss on both cheeks.
Judas.
But most likely
Judas Priest.
it is just like kissing on both cheeks. It's a European tradition. Kisses were a sign of loyalty. Like all of it is probably good things. Riddick deserves a good kiss.
Okay. Cat. Gold necklace with a ruby.
Okay. So this one was interesting because a gold necklace minus the ruby is like a lot of wealth, status, power, like sacred energy, prestige is around like a gift of a necklace.
Right.
You add a ruby into it, it is passion, love, desire, strength and courage, and protection from evil and misfortune. And there's a lot of reference to rubies and gold necklaces within a lot of different like Hindu mythology. Ruby is considered like a sacred gemstone of the sun deity. So it like really is like about power, divine power. In like ancient Burmese, it's like invincibility in battle. Rubies were associated with invincibility in battle. And
there's
then
overall there's a lot of reference to rubies in the different daggers and things, other things as well throughout this book.
I'm curious. We should look at that more.
Okay, after Riddick was, or Cat, Drake walks up and he gets an orange tabby.
So this is funny because I was surprised at how interesting this one and how much it kind of matched it. But Cats in general is like independence, self-sufficiency, mystery, magic, like just companion, protection, right? But add orange, it could be like fire and passion. But it's also like mischief and playfulness.
Okay.
So the whole like gifting a cat and everything like that, obviously like ancient Egypt had a really interesting relationship with cat that it was very sacred. But one of the stories in Norse mythology that was really interesting was the chariots were actually pulled by large like cats. And it really was around like mystical power and independence.
Okay.
So an orange cat in particular, not talking Garfield, but is like power, companionship, protection, but also playfulness.
Okay. Which plays off of the orange tunics, orange clothing that Marin was given, but it's a cat, so it changes the meaning. So interesting. Yes. Okay, last to go up. Trager draws the arrow. He turns around. He is shot through the heart.
Yep.
And Violet says he's dead before her and Riddick can get there. Drake is holding Cat back, covering her mouth. The griffins all go around his griffin as she like is screaming and dying. It's all chaos, and Xaden is telling Violet, they know you're the leader. I can't do this for you.
Yes.
And so she has to stand up and say, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
So Trager.
Symbolism.
Of
Trager
being
is dead.
Shot in the heart.
Yes. And before this, a couple people before, Xaden was telling her mind to mind, this has got to be a trick. There's going to be a trick here.
There's going to be a bad one.
So.
And the bad one wasn't the slap in the face.
Yeah. Let's talk about the symbolism around dagger, or not an arrow through the heart.
Yes. So there is a lot of arrows through heart associated with Cupid and things like that. But as we like shift that more specifically to an arrow in the heart that results in death.
Right.
So it's kind of like the big thing. This is so sad, but it's destiny fulfilled. He finally got Cat.
And then it gets taken away?
His destiny was fulfilled.
I don't like
I know. It's sad. The ultimate love and sacrifice, like divine judgment. It was a lot of like martyrdom.
So going a little and we can go back and talk more about this too, but it pans to Auric coming. They agreed to all their terms. They're sending an advance party in a month of troops, and then they're going to send the rest of the 40,000 troops they're giving them whenever they're ready.
Yeah.
So, and they were trying to appeal to Kat as she's like depressed and grieving. And she's like, I get it. Like his death wasn't for nothing. I mean, it is going to be a turning point in possibly winning this war, right?
Agreed.
So it is an ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah.
That just sucks.
It does. So let's make a big to-do about his death, because I kind of like, because we went back and did the symbolism, I feel like
they really made him a character like 3 pages before this.
Yeah, fair.
I mean, you were even slightly annoyed I interrupted you to tell him about the hickey. Like, so I think it's okay. I love you, Trager, and I appreciate your sacrifice, but like,
one hickey doesn't make a story.
I mean, and like maybe a joke. So,
but he healed a lot.
But I feel for Kat.
He was a good healer.
I feel for Kat right now.
Yes.
Because she was definitely happy. So they're sitting on the beach. They say that they need to bury him and they need to burn his griffin. They like to be burned. And Kat goes, burn him. He would want to be with, I forget his griffin's name, Solace or something like that. So they were like, okay, we can't do it here. She's like, no part of him stays here. There's like 1,000 uninhibited islands within a day's flight.
Yes.
And they start to go, I think it was Drake who was like, that would throw us way off course. She's like, fucking
Traeger is worth
pick it.
Going off course for 2 days.
Yes.
Can we grieve for 2 days, please?
So they think they have an island. I mean, granted, Marissa is painting a nice map for us.
I am. You're welcome.
But they don't really know if their maps are accurate. So they pick an island that they think then they can split up after that in twos and search the minor isles with just flyovers, right?
Yeah.
So they're camping that night. They're going to leave in the morning. Violet and Xaden are like cuddling, by the fire. Violet tells them that she feels like she froze.
Yeah.
She was a bad leader.
She kind of did.
And she did a little bit.
You
but
can
Xaden's
freeze.
like, he's like, you're allowed to be in shock.
Yeah.
Okay, all of us were. It's called shock. You didn't freeze, and then you
Yes.
busted it in. And she's like, don't just be nice to me because you love me.
Sometimes I need my ass kicked.
She does, but this wasn't the time. Xaden tells her the best leaders are the ones who never wanted the job in the first place. And she doesn't want the job.
She does it.
But she's the best for the job. He tells her, you were selected by a general among dragons. Like, Sigel doesn't listen to me. We go where she wants to go.
Yeah.
The general of dragons picked you.
Yeah.
You're going into leadership whether he drags you or you walk through the door. Like, it's happening.
And something, again, going back to this relationship between dragons.
Yeah.
I feel like Taryn takes her feedback into consideration. So even though Taryn is the leader of the dragons, he doesn't pull rank. He's like, what do you want to do, Silver One?
He picked a partner.
He picked a partner and a very smart partner, so that way she can make
He's no dummy. And he says that to her. He's like, why do you think I picked you?
He like has veto power. She like throws up suggestions. He's like, no, we're not doing that. Or he's like, yeah, we'll do that. We're good.
He does end this, right? She's like, what? I have to know all this so I can be better than you? Or I can best you? And he's like, you need to be better than me. Or I'd be as good as you.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you need to be better than me.
Yeah.
There's no cure for me. Only you.
You. So either you cure me with your love or you shoot a knife in my throat.
Cure me with my love. All right.
Traeger has passed.
Traeger has passed.
They've gone to 3 islands total.
3.
And they all have been a shit show in their own different, unique ways.
Very true.
We have gotten no allies. We've gotten trade partners, but no allies.
Trade is open. We have rest stops.
Yes. But nobody's willing to help us. even though they're going to die.
The one who killed Trager is going to send troops.
Oh, yeah. For Traeger's life, they're going to send troops.
Right. We still know nothing about the Irid, though.
Yeah, and Eric really stepped up to get that trade agreement.
Yes.
Yes.
We know nothing about the Irid, and we know nothing about the cure for venin.
Yes. And we do know that dragon trading was real, and if we get super desperate, we can get more, because there are 2 offers on the table. De Varelli said, I'll send you weapons if you're my weapon. You and Xaden are my weapon.
Right.
And then Umbriel said, if you give me 12 dragon eggs.
No, not Umbriel. Was that them, dude?
Yeah.
It was. You're right. Okay.
Yeah. They said, give me 12 dragon eggs and I will send troops. So we've got offers, ridiculous offers.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Okay. So what are your feelings right now? How do you feel?
This is the most interesting part of the whole book. I think going to these different aisles and finding out more. We have
about the culture and stuff like that.
More about like Xaden's life and Violet's life and honestly everybody else's lives too.
Yes.
So I think I like that. It's a lot of build up.
That's a lot of failure in a row. They haven't achieved any part of their mission.
No, we've just heard nice stories
at
this point, right? There's no real progression.
We're learning.
In their mission.
Learning is a progression, Nicole.
I'd be getting really anxious if I was Violet or Xaden or honestly any of them right now. There's not really a solution in their path. No.
We need to keep Xaden.
It's fun to read though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm enjoying it, but.
Okay. Favorite character, and it can't be Riddick.
I think Riddick's the given, right?
Yeah.
Who else am I really liking?
I'm saying Indarna. Don't steal it.
I mean, I think that's slightly a given as well.
Oh. Rude.
You're mid. Mid AF. I really like my shift in point of view. And I said this, I think, with our last series as well.
Yeah.
But, like, I like that I like Dain a lot now.
Yeah.
Like, I might even say him a little bit with the little quirkiness. And I like Kat.
Yeah.
So
Kat's a good character for you.
I like that I couldn't stand Dain in Fourth Wing. Felt a little sorry for him in Iron Flame.
Yep.
And then now I'm like, ooh, I like him.
See, like, I'm not at I like him yet. He's still just a silly boy.
I don't think he's still a silly boy.
No, in my mind, he will always be a silly boy, I think.
No.
Everything comes out with
Dain's
a little
redeemed
wine.
Himself. And then I like how Kat was like an uber cunt. And then I could not stand her. And then she was bitter. And which is even more fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And then now she's like, you're like best friend who's a badass, but has like the attitude of like a 80-year-old woman who doesn't give a fuck.
She's like a flyer Imogen.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love Imogen too.
Yeah.
But I already had that image of Imogen. So what I love is my shift with those two.
Those are good shifts.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
And I want to know more about Garrick.
Of course you do. So does Imogen.
I mean.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for talking high tales with your favorite lit sisters.
Probably your only lit sisters, but who knows?
Who knows? And we also don't know what chapter we ended up going to, do we? It's
fine. I will put it in the description. When you talk about the chapters, I just cut it out anyway.
Chapter. All right, you guys. Thanks for joining us on our cabin.
Extravaganza.
I was going to say workshop. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Mine was more interesting.
It was. Cut all this out. Bye.
Bye.